everybody, welcome to this day in history on the scottshow.com. We talk about what happens this day in history. It's February. Oh my goodness, I said it's January. Alright, well, we started this show off really great. It is February 4th today, 2 days removed from Groundhog Day, and that means that we only have 5 weeks and 5 days left of winter. There you go. Okay, it actually is the midpoint of winter, which is funny on itself as well. Alright, so we're going to go ahead to the events and what's happening. In 1169, there was a strong earthquake in Sicily. It caused tens of thousands of injuries and deaths, especially in Catalina. In 1454, in the 13 Years' War, the Secret Council of the Prussian Federation sends a formal act of disobedience to the Grand Master. And Grand Master is hooked up as a thing on Wikipedia. I'm going to look that up. In 1555, John Rogers is burned at the stake, becoming the first Protestant martyr of England since under Mary I. In 1789, George Washington is unanimously elected the first president of the United States via the Electoral College. Now, did he win the popular vote? The world may never know. In 1794, the French legislature abolishes slavery throughout all the republics of the French First Republic. It will be reestablished in the French West Indies in 1802. In 1801, John Marshall is sworn in as Chief Justice of the United States. The Royal Navy seized Guadalupe in 1810. The Chilean Navy, under the command of Lord Cochrane, completes a 2-day-long capture of Maldivia with just 300 men and 2 ships. In 1825, the Ohio legislature authorizes the construction of the Ohio and Erie Canal and the Miami and Erie Canal. In 1846, the first Mormon pioneers make their exodus from Nouveau, Illinois, moving westward towards Salt Lake Valley. In 1861, in Montgomery, Alabama, delegates from 6 breakaway states meet and form the Confederate States of America. And we'll go to 1941. The USO is created to entertain American troops. 1945, the Yalta Conference between the big three, that's Churchill, Roosevelt, and Stalin, opens in Crimea. In Yalta. The British Indian Army and the Imperial Japanese Army began a series of battles in 1945 as well. Sri Lanka becomes independent within the British Commonwealth. 1948. 1966, the All Nippon Airways Flight 60 plunges into Tokyo Bay, killing 133. 1967, the Orbiter 3 lifts off from Cape Canaveral Launching Complex 3 on its mission to identify possible landing sites for the Apollo spacecraft. 1969, Yasser Arafat takes over as chairman of the Palestine Liberation Organization. He was there forever. 1974, the Lebanese, the SLA, we'll just go with that, kidnaps Patty Hearst in Berkeley, California. I actually saw that they're going to be doing something on TV about that soon. 1976, in Guatemala and Honduras, an earthquake kills more than 22,000 people. In 1977, the Chicago Transit Authority elevates trains rear ends another. Their elevated train rear ends another and derails, killing 11 and injuring 180, the worst accident in the history. In 1997, en route to Lebanon, 2 Israeli troop transport helicopters collide in midair over northern Galilee. In 2003, the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia is officially renamed Serbia and Montenegro and adopts a new constitution. 2004, 14 years ago, Facebook, a mainstream online social media website, you might have heard of it, is founded by Mark Zuckerberg. That happened 14 years ago today, this day in history. Alright, so folks, we're going to go into some births and find out who was born this day in history. As we go down the list, we've always got some really good ones here, like Nigel Bruce, born 1895. Charles Lindbergh, born 1902. We are getting to that time. Rosa Parks was born 1913. And Janet Waldo was born 1920. And we are in that time right now where we're going to be looking to see who the oldest person with a Wikipedia page is. And I have still yet to find that person. Arthur Chase was born this day 1930. Conrad Bain was born this day 1923. Died of just a few years ago. Conrad Bain was an awesome actor. Alright, and it looks like the oldest person I could see here is, from 1931, Isabel Martinez y Perón, the 41st president of Argentina. So there you go. Dan Quayle, happy birthday to Dan Quayle, 44th Vice President of the United States. Rod Grams, he was a politician, he was a senator from Minnesota. He was on TV quite a bit when I grew up. Know him quite well when just from seeing him on TV and stuff. Alice Cooper celebrates the same day, the same year and everything. Alright, Lawrence Taylor was born this day in history. Dennis Savard, Clint Black, born this day in history. Let's see. Chris Sabin, the American wrestler. Carly Patterson. And Jake Friend was born this day in history. Now, as we go down and talk about deaths and people who had passed away, we always look at the list, find out if there's anybody who super famous. That's what we do. Whipper Billy Watson, very famous wrestler, died this day in history in 1990. Liberace died in 1987. And just kind of going on the list here, we also have Pope Synesis. What a cool name. And he died in 708. So, folks, it is Independence Day in Sri Lanka, Rosa Parks Day in California and Missouri. It's World Cancer Day. It's Day of the Armed Struggle in Angola. And that is, folks, this day in history. Thank you guys so very much. We'll catch you here real soon on thescottshow.com.